Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be doing this pretty exciting. We're going to be doing a presentation, our first public presentation on two new products. One I think is going to be quite consequential in the long run, and in the short run, we've built a utility that we think is going to make transitioning to Act Premium Cloud a lot easier. In fact, we know it will, and I think you will agree after this demo. So we're going to kick things off with the Keystroke Contact Manager, which I've got displayed on our homepage. If you want to read a little bit more about it after this is over, you can click on KQC Tools, scroll down to Customer Tools, and then click on Keystroke Contact Manager. Okay, but let's just handle a couple of housekeeping things up front. As indicated, this event is being recorded. Please submit your questions into chat, and I would ask, and looking that everyone here has themselves muted, thank you very much. This is being recorded, and we want to obviously avoid any background noises or distractions. So let's kick things off with the Keystroke Contact Manager. What is it? Why did we build it? So Keystroke Contact Manager is much like Handheld Contact for the desktop. Okay, it cannot operate without Act. It's not meant to be a freestanding, contact manager. Okay, it's just a different way of accessing your Act data. Okay, it syncs with Act. Okay, through either a hosted database or Act Premium Cloud, and it sends and receives all the data through the API. Act users have to be either standard user in terms of security permission or higher, and have web API permission. So if you end up testing this out in the next few weeks or months, make sure that the users that you have in mind for this have those minimum security rules, okay, or permissions. Before I show the program, I want to just stress that that this isn't like Handheld Contact. This is built with Handheld Contact in mind, okay? And let me explain that. When I took over Handheld Contact back in 2017, one of the biggest expenses we had was maintaining two separate code bases, one for Android, one for iOS, and maintaining, two separate developers for this, because very few people obviously are proficient in both. So this was very, very costly. Even when you have one developer, keeping two code bases is very, very difficult, okay, and costly. But when you have two developers, it becomes even more so, because there's, very, very difficult to keep the experience uniform across the different platforms. So what we've done is we've developed the Keystroke Contact Manager with Handheld Contact in mind, so that it is built on a code base called Maui, okay? Most of you guys probably haven't heard of it outside of the Hawaiian Islands. The Maui is a platform agnostic code base that can develop for PCs, Macs, iOS, and Android, okay? So we have developed this. I'm just going to mute someone here. We've developed this so that we can eventually build one code base and build separate wrappers for each of the platforms. Okay, so this will create much more of a consistent and uniform experience, will reduce the cost dramatically, and will be able to affect changes and new features across all platforms much more quickly. But since we already have a couple of products in the field with iOS and Android, our first priority was to kind of lay the groundwork for Windows and build out the Windows product, and we're calling that Keystroke Contact Manager. Before I begin the demo, I want to explain what it is. Why are we building another Windows client, okay, for Act? Well, ABC subscribers can choose to deploy KCM instead of Act and save $120 per user, because right now Act Premium Cloud costs $360, and every activation of the Windows client costs $120. If we can build a handheld or a Windows client that reduces the need for them to subscribe to the desktop sync, then they can end up with the best of both. They can have a great web experience and they can have a great offline experience without the extra expense. Okay, IT teams can also deploy it instead of Act due to its smaller footprint. Okay, there's no major SQL installations or permission implications. And we will be implementing add-ons for this. So we'll be implementing things like Act for Outlook, Dash, Mail Manager, and other things over time. The other thing to keep in mind is that there are certain feature gaps between web and Windows currently. So you can kind of scroll down. This is a blog that we've got, and this is the list of feature gaps that are currently between the web and the Windows client. Those feature gaps, and this isn't a shot at Act, it's a very hard to bridge all of those gaps, across the two platforms. We know that because we developed the custom tables for Act, and closing the gap between the Windows and the web experience is very difficult. So, what we can do now is we can center around some of the pain points that customers have, some of the feature gaps with the web experience, and build them into, into the KCM, as we call it, Keystroke Contact Manager. And I'm going to show you how some of those work, okay? And it will be within our control. We can bring them to market a lot faster, and customers can, we can respond to customer demands very quickly, okay? This will be licensed by activation, okay? There isn't going to be a cost associated with this. This is going to be free for our customers and for anyone that purchases Orange Care. Now, so we are going to be expanding our Orange Care program so that other resellers can sell Orange Care and therefore get the entitlement for Keystroke Contact Manager through that, okay? Why are we doing this? Why are we linking what seemingly is unrelated, the support plans, to KCM? Well, practically speaking, we don't want to really give away a product that may incur support requirements for the customers, that we have no revenue associated with. So what we're doing is we're saying, look, for the people that we think are getting the best customer experience, the best Act experience through getting our support plans, we're going to also provide this, and provide it free of charge. Okay, that way, if there is any issues, we've got the ability to reach out and support them. Okay, so with that introduction, let's actually show you what the program looks like. Bring it over here. Okay, so this is the Keystroke Contact Manager. This is the screen that you will open to. If you've used Handheld Contact before, some of these things are going to seem familiar. You're going to have today's activities on the opening dashboard. This is the home screen, this month's opportunities. You're going to have the basic statistics, the how many contacts, how many tasks, how many opportunities. Now, some of these are obviously showing for all users, and it's going to show you the last sync. Okay, good afternoon, Ken, everything else. Okay, so that's the main homepage. We're going to go over to contacts. Okay, now a couple of things you're going to notice right off the bat, okay, is that this is a similar type list view that you guys are familiar with, okay, but we've got several search tools for this. Now, the one thing that's consistent with Handheld Contact is when you click into a particular contact, you're seeing it in read-only mode. In Act, when you go into a contact record, you immediately have the ability to edit it. Well, our Handheld Contact has never been like that, so we want to have people have that extra click, okay, so they can kind of fearlessly go through contacts without risk of changing data. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is the searching options. So right over here, we have what we call the keyword search, but it is a universal search, to put it in Act parlance. So universal search searches everything. It searches notes, it searches histories, it searches all, tasks, opportunities, everything. So if I typed in, like the other day, I typed in, my own name, okay, and I got an enormous amount of hits. Not that I'm in the database more than once, but because I'm listed as record manager on so many of the contacts, so I had a disproportionate number of responses. However, if I type it in up here, then it's going to search all of the primary contacts, and anything that I type in, okay, and primary fields, I should say, anything that I type in here, okay, and then click on OK, and it does a lookup, it will set here as a kind of a search filter. So if I was to put it in Toronto, okay, all of a sudden you see that I've got the filter applied here, and then I can clear that, and it will show the list again. What I also have, okay, is the ability to filter. Now this is something that we've wanted in ACT for a long time. You'll notice that all the column headers, if you click on them, you're going to be able to sort, okay? So if I want to sort here, I can do so. If I want to sort, click it again. It actually has 3 sort states. It's got ascending, descending, and then the last one is clearing the sort, okay? But I also have a filter. So if I want to click on here, and I want to say is equal to Toronto, and then filter, I'm immediately going to get that. And then I can do searches within that. I can have a filter by all, any number of these columns. So I can create a narrowing lookup just by doing that, okay? So that's the universal search. Here's the contact search, kind of, within these columns, it's searching only fields. And then you've got the column filters, okay? But there's actually another way. So what you can do is if you wanted to build a list, a cherry-picked list, you can actually click on this little thing, checkbox, and now I'll clear my selections here. If I wanted to say, okay, let's pick this person, this person, this person, and then I wanted to create a different search, okay? And I said, let's say I want to search for Quigley's. And I'm just going to click on here. Now, you'll notice that I have 3 here, but you see this is in blue here because I still have this filtered by Toronto. If I reset this, then I get the rest of the Quigleys, okay? Now, every single time that I've selected someone, I'm creating a little selection here. So I can go through and, edit and compile this list of people, okay? And then once I've got my list of people that I want to deal with, then I've got some options here. Now, one of the things that I mentioned the feature gaps between web and Windows. One of the big feature gaps is batch editing, okay? So, whether you're editing the access or deleting a bunch of contacts or editing the access permissions, clearing a bunch of activities, all these kinds of things, there is limited batch edit functionality within the web experience. This was something that we knew that we immediately had to support if we were going to be doing this. So what we've done is we create this little ability to compile a list, and then you click on actions, and you've got a bunch of options here. Schedule an activity for everyone on the list. Add this to your favorites. I'll get into that later. Add this to a group. Edit the contact access. So if I want to change the contact access for a bunch of contacts that are on this selection, I can do that. That's absolutely not supported in ACT for Windows, okay? Write email. Now the write email with the base product is pretty standard, okay? If you've ever written an email with Handheld Contact, it pops up a little dialog box. You put in the subject, you put in the email, you send it out, and it basically sends out, kind of like a delivery to all of them, but not really a merge. This is the same kind of thing. You click on here, okay? You're going to type this in. You're going to type the body of the email, okay? And when you click on continue, it's going to load that email into Outlook, okay, or whatever your default email client is. But it will take this window here and write that to the history of all the people that are being received here. So at that point, we don't really need, Outlook integration because the history is being written. Okay, it's going to, because it's in the Windows environment, it's going to pass it on to the mail client, much like Android and iOS does on their mobile platforms. Okay, now we are going to build in additional Outlook functionality. Okay, as I said, we're going to build a marketplace for this, but this is something that we can provide right away. So if you're sending out quick messages, you can do so and know that you're leaving that audit trail and everything's being recorded to history. Okay. Okay, so we've got that. Now just to kind of show you some of the other things. So here is again the activity or all the lists. So you can schedule an activity for everyone at once, add the favorites. As I said, the favorites are over here. These are people that you frequently access Okay, we introduced favorites into Handheld Contact, and we realized, much like you've got your call list on your mobile devices, we figured there's the same kind of people, whether they're regular customers, friends, employees, coworkers, whichever. You're going to want to create a list that you can easily access and maybe even quickly communicate with in several different ways. Okay, so got that. Add to group. Again, being able to add to group very quickly is something that that people wanted in APFW. And a contact access flat out unavailable. If you wanted to say, I'm going to change all these people to private within the APFW environment, sorry, Act Premium for Web environment, you would have to go in and edit everyone individually. This you can do en masse. Right email I showed you. Delete, believe it or not, deleting a bunch of contacts actually is a fairly unintuitive process when you're deleting contacts. This allows you to do it very straightforward. Okay, so let's go back to that. Okay, now we're not always going to be working in list mode. Okay, let me just bring up my record here. We are going to, let me just also, sorry, let me clear this. And let's just go to quickly here. Trying to avoid showing anyone's information other than my own. Okay, so here is the detail view, okay, of my information. Okay, so you can see here, we've got all the other information here. We've got the business address, we've got the home address, we can click on any one of these things like you can on Act. You can't edit it, but you can trigger it, okay? And obviously you can see all of these numbers. If you've got soft phone connectivity on your computer, then this can be configured to trigger that. Email is obviously straightforward. This will trigger mapping functionality, whichever. Okay, so we've built in, and you can even see here the website is a trigger to being able to launch a browser. So there's a fair number of active fields in here, and you'll notice that this is laid out in a fairly deliberate way. This is a row with 3 columns. This is a row with 2 columns. This is a row with 1 column. So this has been designed, as I said, this is a platform that is going to work across, sorry, a program that's going to work across multiple platforms. So in order to be mobile responsive, you've got to have a layout that can stack, okay? Act has a pixel based layout, okay? It doesn't stack, okay? It just will shrink. So this will enable you to stack it on, so it will work in a small form factor on a mobile platform. And so we've designed it this way. Now, if you wanted to edit the layout, we've got a fairly intuitive tool here. Okay. Now, when you're looking at it, it's like, okay, that's a lot of numbers. Maybe that's not super intuitive, but let me explain to you, in very, very quick terms, how this all works. So if you want to create a category, you click on here, and that will create something like with the business address, home address, so on and so forth. Okay. If you want, and then all the fields here are what's available to be added to the layout. Just like Act, you can't add the same field more than once. But you see these numbers here, 4, 4, 8, 4. What do all these mean? In most content management systems on websites, generally they are organized in 12 columns, okay? I'm not going to get into the history of it. It just is what it is. So that if you have a 6, that's meant to represent half that column space, okay? Because 2 6s are 12, okay? So you can see 6 and 6 means that this particular column has been divided into 2. If you see down here, this is running the full width here, okay? And you can even see here that the number 4 is representing that it is 1/3 of the full width. Sorry, I know this isn't super exciting, but I just kind of wanted to explain how this works. So this case, we've got 1 column. So you can see 4, 4, and 4 adding up to 12. So if you were to add something, okay, you can actually organize it, drop a field in here, okay, and you can say, well, I only want it to be 3, okay, and it will shorten it up, okay? And so you can customize the view however you want, click on save, I've already saved it. You get this little notice saying that you're saving it. You also have the option to save it and share it with other users that are on your team, okay? Well, this isn't something that you're gonna share across a network. You're going to constantly be syncing this, and you can share the layout as part of that process, okay? Now, so you'll see a couple of things here. Very familiar actions going across the top. Call, obviously this isn't meant to trigger a call, it's meant to schedule a call. Schedule a meeting, schedule a to-do, schedule an opportunity, note, history, all the same kind of functionalities that you're used to. Now, when you get to email, then you're gonna see that email box that we showed you earlier. But quote is a little different because that is not something that is in ACT. So what we've done is we have integrated, obviously as the maker of Linktivity, we have integrated the link to quotes functionality right in here. So you can click on this, okay, and it's going to trigger new quote for Ken Quigley. And now I don't have to populate it. Ken Quigley's automatically being brought in. The rules that we set up was that it looks for certain conditions within the contact, so it knows to quote me in CAD, it knows to apply the Ontario sales tax, and now I can just start the quote, okay? So, and then as soon as I save it, then an opportunity will be added, but this isn't about the Linktivity, so I just wanted to explain that. We're going to build in form functionalities. We're going to build in survey functionalities so that you will be able to click on something, select the survey, and send it out, and it will have that contacts information pre-populated, so it will generate a link, okay, that they click on and they can immediately complete it, okay? So here's all the information. As you can see, you can click on it. It's all in read-only mode. So if I want to edit it, I've got the ability to do it with one click, just like Handheld Contact, okay? So I can go through, I can make the changes, and soon as I save, okay, then it can either write it immediately, okay, sync it on schedule or sync it on demand, okay? And it's all gonna be through the API. And just to kind of show you a little bit about the settings, okay? So we've got some, I'm not gonna go through all of these things, but it's talking about, days for past syncing and things like that. Download opportunities, download only open opportunities, download them for my records, things like that. During the setup, when you first get this is about a 30-second download, if that, maybe 10, okay? You're gonna launch it, it's gonna ask you for which group you're gonna wanna sync to, just like Handheld Contact API, and then it's gonna ask you to log in, okay? If you don't have valid ACT credentials, it's going to fail. If you don't have web API permissions, it's going to fail. It's going to prompt you for the opportunities, and then it's going to do a download all. And literally, people can go from having it uninstalled to installed and populated in data with all the data within 10-15 minutes. Okay, now I say 10-15 minutes, it could be less, it could be more, because we don't know how much data is being downloaded. But when I do it from scratch, I've got almost 30,000 contacts. It's going to take 10-15 minutes for me. Okay, so we'll go back to contacts. Okay, so that's the contact list. We've got customized columns. Okay, we've got add a contact there, we've got refresh, we've got save, and then with the configure where you can set the different lists. So I want to see, favorites, user status, things like that. Okay, now if I go to calendar, the calendar the calendar is pretty cool. We're gonna continue to add functionality to it. Right now, all the items in orange, we're gonna add some color coding to that. But you immediately get the day calendar, 3-day calendar. Now you'll notice here that this is displaying all down the side, similar to Handheld Contact, okay? Work week, showing everything that's in view, okay? Obviously all the timeless activities, just like ACT, are gonna show up at the top, okay? And you could see some of the default filters right away. Show only those for Ken Quigley, and show, cleared status is not cleared. I don't wanna see things that are cleared, okay? And then, you can, click on create new, create filters, whichever, and That's it with the calendar. Okay, so then you got weeks. Okay, let's go to work week. And then we've got the monthly view. Okay, and this is using a similar type. Well, it's actually using almost identical because it's made by the same code manufacturer, Telerik, for the calendar controls that ACT uses. So if it seems familiar, you know, there's good reason for it. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's go to the task lists. Task lists are, you know, pretty similar, but let me show you something that you can't do. If you click on the little checkbox, one of the frustrations people have reported with the APFW or Act Premium Cloud is being able to clear multiple activities. Okay, so now you can select a whole bunch of activities, click on actions, and now either delete, add to list, or clear. Okay, I'm not going to clear them because this is a production database, but if I was to clear, it would prompt me for an outcome, and then it would record it all to history and then be synced back to ACT. Okay, so suddenly that big pain point for people not being able to you know, clear a bunch of activities, okay, or reschedule things like that is no longer an issue. Okay, so let's go here. Christopher Work asked, can you color code tasks? We will be supporting color coding tasks. This is something that, because we've actually built add-ons to do exactly that, and we'll be building that into the preferences. Our expected release date is next week, March 4th or 5th. It likely will not be in it at that point, but this is going to be a constantly evolving program. Okay, so do expect to see that, you know, probably sometime in March. Okay, but good question. That's something that I personally requested. Okay, as much as I love orange, I don't want to see everything in orange. Okay, the next thing is we've got calendar types. We've 5. We've covered that. Let's talk about opportunities. Okay. Now you'll notice that the column filters are right across all the different sections. So anything like if I suddenly want to say, okay, I only want to see, you know, mine, boom, I can do that. I only want to see ones in the quotation stage, I can do that, okay? Plus, let's say that I clear this, reset, and let's say I want to group them. I now have all of Fajar's, all of Jason's, all of Gene's, all in different sections, okay? And that really breaks it down nicely. If you're working with a sales team, you can immediately go through and see their pipeline in a very intuitive way, okay? And you still have the filtering options there, okay? And then if you wanted to go through here and select them all, okay, you've got different options available for those. And they select over here, click on actions, and you can delete and add to list. Okay, and we're going to be building this out. We'll have multiple updates and things like that. Sometimes the doing batch edits and opportunities gets a little tricky outside of status, just because there's, you know, each of them can have different processes and different stages. But we'll be building in functionality that allows you to update a bunch of them at once. Okay. So again, the focus on batch functionality. And then, so we've got opportunities. We're going to be building in summaries and calculations and all of this. But take a look at the filter here. So if I slide this on over and I click on, I mean, I can click on this and select what probability I want, but I can actually click on this and say is greater than or equal to 1,000. Okay, and now I'm immediately seeing only those. Okay, so the filtering is pretty powerful and especially relevant when you're dealing with transactional lists like this that have numeric values. Okay, groups. This is something that doesn't exist in Handheld Contact, okay, but something that doesn't exist in this. So you can see all the groups. You can add people to groups because you've got access to them. Okay, keep in mind, the one thing that you that is going to be different about ACT versus Handheld Contact is that when you set up Handheld Contact, okay, or in this case, Keystroke Contact Manager, you are determining which group you're going to be downloading. So which group of contacts you're going to be downloading. So with this list of groups that you see here, these will only be populated with the contacts that you've downloaded. They're not going to include all the contacts in your database because that's not part of your download set, okay? Now let's take a look at the sync status, okay? So up here, you've got download all data, download all activities, things like that. I can trigger the sync right now, okay? But also, I think it's probably already started, okay? What under about, okay? I'm not going to initiate a sync because it could take, 5 minutes, and that's pretty bad television, okay? But if you click on about, you can have a confirmation of your connection status, request support, save logs, send them in to us. But this will also allow you to update your version instantly. Okay, when I say instantly, maybe I should be a little bit careful, but not that far off. So you click on this, it will download it in maybe 15 seconds. You click on keep, you click on load, you'll be prompted to update, and you should have a new version in probably about 30 seconds. Okay, so pretty fast. Okay, and I'm about halfway through my time, so I want to, make sure that I don't take up too much time with this, and I've got to leave some room for the others. But let me just see if there's any questions that I can answer. Okay, will the sort by contact always be by first name? Good question. Actually, I don't know the answer to that, but I am sure that will allow for some options in that. We're the developers, so we can make it work any way we want. Okay, any way to change that to a % to make it more user-friendly? Not sure, sorry, Michael, I'm not sure what you're referring to on that. Christopher, I answered your questions on the color coding. On the user's desktop, how is this program updated? Through the syncing, okay? Plus on schedule. Color code based on due date. Well, that's an interesting concept. I haven't had that question before. Okay, can we edit the font and size of this layout? I'm going to repeat myself from something I said to the developers earlier this morning. There is no end zone with this product. There's no going to be a point where we stick our flag in the ground and say we're done. This is going to be constantly evolving. So I love these suggestions, but we've got to have a point where we start. So we're aiming next week. And some of these requests may not be at time of initial launch, but we are very, very committed to this product. Okay, we obviously feel that it fits within the ACT ecosystem. Okay, it can save our customers money. And we want our customers to enjoy what we think is the best ACT experience with ACT Premium Cloud and have the opportunity to reduce their costs. If you can be spending $360 on software, okay, and only have Orange Care on top of that, which includes all kinds of benefits, and get this for free, we think that's the best ACT experience and the most economical. But to answer your question, some of these features will not be available at launch, but keep them coming because we can add them in really quickly. Will there be a French version? Oh, Sylvia and Fred, right back to back. I can't believe that this wasn't asked more than once. Yes, there will be a French version. We may even make a Dutch version. Okay, I think Peter Pennings has promised to get me drunk, so we'll probably get a Dutch version out there, but there absolutely will be a French version. Anyone that's ever been to any of our websites is well aware of our commitment to the translations, and we'll definitely continue that with this product. Okay. Yes, and we. Okay, so translations in live action here. Okay, if there's no other questions, let me just immediately move this on over. Thank you very much, Bridget, very kind of you. And Fred, have a great day, and goodbye to all. Take care.